Esther 9:22, the month which was transformed for them from sorrow to joy. But how is it possible to laugh when we look at life's limitations? You know, we say, God is good and all the time. Friends, God is good. Romans 8:28 says, God works all things out together for good for those who love and who are called according to his purposes. In the story of Esther, what we have to understand is God appears hidden. In fact, the book of Esther almost doesn't make it into the Bible because it's the only book in the Bible where God's name isn't even mentioned. But that's the point of the story. The whole story is filled with irony and satire, and that's what we need to understand is God is good and does good even when it doesn't look good. Turn to someone and say, even when it doesn't look good, it's still good. Listen, we need to see God in all situations, in all the details, and Haman is the biological son of and spiritual son of Amalek, the personification of evil and oppression and depression. And Amalek, the things we have to understand is that the biblical holiday of Purim, say Purim. Purim literally means lots. This biblical holiday is named after the means by which Haman determined the date on which he was going to destroy the Jewish people. He cast lots to determine the dates. Does that seem strange for you? Like, why not call it Esther Day or Feast of Esther or Feast of Mordechai or something real positive? Why is this holiday named after the game of lots that was thrown down by Haman to determine when he was going to commit genocide against the entire Jewish people? It seems like a really odd name for the holiday. What you have to understand is that Haman is a descendant of Amalek, and Amalek is the first atheist in the Bible. Atheist believes that there is no greater power that is control of anything, that everything happens randomly and by chance. In fact, atheist believes that our existence here today just happens to be because of what? Chance. The roll of the dice went the right way, and poof, here we are. So because he's an atheist worldview is based on chance or randomness or no ordered divine design behind anything. He picks the method of destruction of the Jewish people that represents his worldview and perspective on life, and wanted to show that there was no God that was in control. His ancestor, Amalek, was the guy, you hear this in like kind of modern scholarship, when God parted the Red Sea. Well, the first miracle is the water into blood. It's kind of like, well, there was algae in the sea, and the algae was turning red at that time, so it looked like the water turned red, but it wasn't really blood, it was just the algae. It's like the problem is the pots in their house also turned to blood. So how do you explain that? He's the type of guy that says, well, you know, when God brought them out of Egypt and the water, well, there was just a really strong east wind at the time, just long enough for millions of Jews to cross it, and then all of a sudden the winds became unfavorable, and, you know, it was just bad luck for the Egyptians, you know. Stuff happens. People believe that stuff, and crazier stuff. There's a flat earth. Did you know that? Come on, people are crazy. But that's the reality. Those are the unbelievers. Those are the atheists. And so what you have to understand, why is this holiday called Purim? And why is God's name not mentioned? That is the point. The point is that God is working behind the scenes even when you can't see him. Even when you can't see the hand of God, trust the heart of God. Turn to someone and say, even when you can't see his hand, trust his heart.